Everest because I went to base camp this time last year, and when I was there, I remember getting to base camp, and that was pretty much enough for me. And I looked up when I was there, and I thought, why on earth would anyone want to go any further? What was the motivation behind that originally for you?
I think firstly having the opportunity, and secondly, everything that I've done in my life has always been about challenges. It's always been about adventure. Even joining the Special Forces was, about testing myself. It was about understanding what my body is capable of. And I think given the opportunity to go and climb Everest, the highest mountain in the world, it was an easy decision for me to make, to go and do it for all those reasons, that it tested me the right way. It gave me adventure. It gave me danger, which I enjoy. And also, like, I've got quite a lot of mountaineering experience and background. And I find when I'm in the mountains, that's my calm space, that's my head space. I enjoy being in the mountains for those reasons. And all those aspects just, led me to make that decision to go and climb it.
What was the preparation stage like? How long in advance were you prepping, training, acclimatizing, things like that?
So I've always climbed since I joined the regiment. I went away and trained to be a German military mountain guide. So I've got a lot of experience in the mountains throughout my life. But we actually ran a training package to do Everest. So we wanted to climb one 8,000 meter mountain prior to doing Everest. So we went to Manaslu, which is, I think off the top of my head, is the 8th highest. Might be wrong. It's around 8,156 meters. So that was kind of our initial testing phase. And if we could summit Manaslu, or at least get to 8,000 meters, then we'd be prepped for Everest. And we actually made a load of mistakes on Manaslu, which was really good for us climbing Everest, because we'd already made those mistakes prior on Manaslu. We didn't actually end up summiting on Manaslu. And that's probably an in-depth conversation itself, but we basically arrived late to the mountain. So a lot of people had already set off on the climb, and we hadn't. We failed to acclimatize appropriately, and we climbed after a heavy snowfall, which meant there was a high risk of avalanche. So we kind of made all the mistakes early on in Manaslu. Hold my hand up, we weren't experts at that time, still aren't. And then as you get to Everest, the prep and acclimatization phase. So the expedition's roughly 6 weeks, and it's all about taking your time to acclimatize so that you can summit the mountain safely. You do that by climbing no more than around 500 meters per day, so that your body adjusts to it. But then, it's just about taking your time on Everest. It's not something that you can do quickly. It's a very slow process. In terms of preparation for actual Everest, I had the mountaineering skills already there. I think physically, I keep myself in a very good condition. I think just being fully rested before you actually attempt the climb is what I say to most people that want to do it, is, do all your fitness stuff, do all your mountaineering prep, but then say 2 weeks prior to you flying out to country, just have a period where you just eat loads of food, get loads of calories, stick some extra fat on, and just make sure that you turn up without an injury, because you lose so much weight, you lose so much muscle mass, and you need that extra fat, and you need to be healthy and in a good shape before you turn up.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced on that climb, maybe physically or even mentally? I'd add.
So, the first time that I summited Everest, it was, I have to hold my hands up. It was like a really enjoyable experience. And in terms of challenges, we didn't really, it ran really smoothly. It's probably the smoothest expedition I've been on. And I felt like really fit. I acclimatized really well. So did my climbing partner. Like felt amazing, even up until the point, you know, even summit day. Like I had so much energy, and some of the Sherpas turned. Well, my Sherpa turned around. I was just left on my own with my oxygen, and I felt really good inside. And I was, I was cruising at a good speed. I think the second expedition to Everest, totally different, and that was last year. And last year made it into the news, made it into the media quite a lot, just because you had roughly the average number of deaths, but you had a massive backlog. And I don't know if you saw the picture that was taken up on Hillary Step of the massive backlog of people. It was like a big human traffic jam. And that posed a lot of challenges in itself. You know, the mountain is dangerous, but you know, the people on Everest can be dangerous as well. There's a lot of, you know, inexperienced people. There's a lot of people that just have a lot of money and just go and climb it. I think, you know, they pose a danger. I was guiding a bigger group, so I had a group of around. It was overall 12 people, but I had 8, including myself. That posed probably the biggest challenge for me. Is when I'm on my own climbing one of those hills, like it's fine. It's just me on my own climbing. I don't have to worry about other people. If I'm in danger, it's just me in danger. But when I've got other people that I've got to look after, and you know, they've all got their own expectations of how they want to climb the mountain. They've all got their own experience, their own ideas. Trying to juggle that whilst trying to get them to the summit. And, you know, I always said to the lads, stick with me and I'll get you to the summit. And 3 of them stuck with me and we ended up on the summit. And the other lad didn't get there for various reasons, health reasons, other reasons. But I think trying to manage other people on the hill, I find is the biggest challenge for me. Physically and mentally, I'm fine with
it. You mentioned that second climb, and I mean, you said the first climb went so well, and most people, you know, if they manage to do something like, you know, climb Everest, that's enough for them. That satisfies them, especially given the success rate of something like that. So what on earth made you want to do it a second time? What was the motivation then?
Probably one of the biggest reasons was I had such a good time on it the first time. You know, it goes back to why I make my decisions, and a lot of it is about adventure. It's about challenge. You know, I think you mentioned on the questions, it's like not being content, and I'm one of the biggest. You know, that's one of my biggest things is like not being content with pretty much anything, and I've not yet realised whether it's a blessing or a curse, because it echoes in everything of not being content with, you know, whatever it is. I won't go into too much detail. But yeah, I think, you know, climbing that, you know, summit in the first time, had such a great experience. And I get a lot out of it. I get a lot out of exposing myself to danger and adversity. I think a lot of people can get a lot of good out of exposing themselves to adversity. You know, there's a massive sense of reward standing on the summit of Everest. And for me, I think doing it the first time, and then you kind of, or I felt like my odds were narrowed going into it the second time. Simply just because, you know, I had it in my head that I was lucky the first time, everything went well. But to actually stand on the summit that second time, although it was a worse experience, kind of meant way more to me than standing on it the first time. I actually shed a little tear whilst I was at the top as well. So yeah, I guess it's just that, you know, that challenge, that adversity, and just not being content with doing it once.